So today I'm with Bouyan Zhao, and I'm really excited to meet with Bouyan because I messaged him. I found one of his YouTube videos, and he's creating very, very good content for the social media marketing community. So I wanted to reach out to Bouyan and see what's up with his agency, how is it going, and to give some tips and tidbits to my audience as well. Yeah, if you're just finding this video out and you got some value from it, please don't be scared to hit this thumbs up button as well as subscribe so you can get more interviews like this every single week. So Bouyan, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and being on the channel.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, Evan. Pleasure to be here. This is, I think, like only my second interview, so cool. Let's get
That's sweet, man. Yeah, just take us through a bit of the backstory on yourself, what you kind of went to school for, as well as if you decided to go to post-secondary, college, university, or you decided to go a different path, and what brought you into social media marketing.
Right, so like background on myself then, I academically I did 1 year of a year and a bit of university studying computer science with artificial intelligence. Killed it the first year, and then second year was when I was like, so over summer I was working in door-to-door sales, which is like don't know if any of you guys have like, you know, worked in that field, but it's quite tough, both physically and like mentally draining as well. But that really like kind of put a fire in my stomach in terms of like, you know, I want to achieve my financial goals, but not at the pace at which, you know, traditional corporate routes would allow me to. So I kind of just realized, you know, like, yes, computer science with AI is a very good degree to have. It's a high income degree, but it's not, and it's something that I'm like not bad at, but I can't see myself doing it for like, I don't know, 20, 40 years. So that was when I started like kind of exploring other avenues. So this was last year, like September time, I'd say, because that was when my sales position over summer ended. And I was on my way back to university, and I was like, wow, okay, well, university clearly is a mistake. And this was when I realized it properly, in around November time. So during the time between like, I'd say like late September to early October, I was kind of just exploring different methods of making money online. I looked through all of them, literally, like Amazon FBA, dropshipping, just all the affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, all of the major ones basically. But then I landed on SMMA just because as a person, I hate managing like the operational side of things. Can you hear the background, by the way?
A little bit, but it's fine.
Okay. So as a person, like I hate managing the operational side of things. So I wouldn't be able to, you know, deal with like customer complaints and like buying all of the stocks and managing all of that. And it just seems like a very unappealing, massive headache to me. So social media marketing is something that I've always kind of dabbled in a little bit, because I've had my YouTube channel for about a year now, but I was uploading student content, and then I kind of I'd say like mid-January or something, I started uploading seriously again. And now I upload teaching SMMA Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. UK time. So yeah, like it's been kind of all good from there. I bought a course, educated myself on the space, and then, you know, started outreach on the 10th of January.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's a very short amount of time, because right now, as we're filming, it's February 11th, and all this was in 2019, correct?
Yeah, so September, well, late September is 2019 is when I started learning about SMMA. Yeah.
Cool. So how did you end up finding about social media marketing then? Was it just through your own search, or did it just pop up randomly, or did you just find someone or hear about it from someone on the streets?
You mean like when I first heard of it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So one of my friends, he actually has a social media marketing agency, and he started it like, I think a year and a half ago. Yeah, I think it's been over a year and a half since he started his agency. So I kind of know it from him because he would talk about it to me. occasionally, and I would ask about how his business is going and stuff like that. So
Wait. So a friend referred you into the pyramid scheme?
oh yeah, like I'm under this guy, and like it's all good. I pay him 6% commission of every sale I make. On a real though, so he kind of like, with him, it's more like I headline read into what he did. So he said, "Oh, I run a social media marketing agency," and in my head, I'm like, "Okay, cool. This thing you can make money from." But then I never really like delved too deep until really just September time is when I started kind of looking into it a bit more.
That's cool. Yeah, because how I kind of got into it was actually just through the YouTube algorithm. And plus the AI of 2017, the YouTube AI of 2017 is when I started going more into online money making possibilities, because I've always had a love of travel. I always just wanted to travel, work from my laptop, just kind of be wherever. So yeah, that's when I kind of got into drop shipping, e-commerce, all that sort of stuff. Amazon FBA. Interesting that you mentioned Amazon FBA as well, Bouyan, because I just interviewed Tom Bouyan last week, and he's doing quite well for his Amazon FBA business out here in Vancouver. But yeah, it's very interesting to kind of get these videos. And I saw Eman talk about social media marketing, and he was like 17 at the time, 16, 17. And I was already like 23, 24. And my personality type is ENTP. So for those that have done the Myers-Briggs test, it's those like little 4-letter words that you get as an acronym for what your personality type is. Do you know what yours is, by the way, Bouyan?
I believe I did it a while ago, but I don't know what the actual like code for it is, but I got executive.
Yeah. Oh, the executive? Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
ENTJ, I think, is the executive.
Yeah.
I think.
I
Yeah.
think
So very, very similar personality types to myself. So I always like question authority growing up. I always question like any teachers or like anything along those lines. I always play devil's advocate and just kind of like,
same.
yeah, just like don't really care. Like, oh, I'll just like say
Yeah.
something, but I don't believe it. But I know that like it'll just like
Yeah.
might piss some people off, but I'll just say it anyway because it's kind of fun. But where was I going with that? But anyway, so that's where, yeah. So I always questioned authority. So when a 17-year-old comes up, he's like, "So I'm a 17-year-old high school
High
dropout."
school dropout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, who the fuck is this kid? But I saw people hating on him. Whenever I see people hate on someone, I'm like, maybe they're doing something right. So that's when I actually started going into it. And I kind of get a vibe for people that are legit, not legit, or whatever. There's a few like drop shippers that I was kind of into. Then I kind of found out that I was like, they're not that legit. But then Eman, like the way that he presented himself and the way that he explained the business, and the way that I saw his sales skills right away. I always knew like every single video he does, it's a sales video, every single one. But he's just very ingenious about it, and the way that, and he's very persuasive as well. I'm like, how the hell does this kid know about this stuff when he's 16, 17, when I'm just learning about this right now? And I felt like I'm ahead of some of my friends or whatever that might not learn it for another 10 years, 20 years. Because that's where like the Tony Robbins like demographic is, where they're really learning like the Awaken a Giant demographic, which is more along the lines of like the 30s, 40s, 50s or so that really get into it. We're still out partying. Like people our age are still going out partying, getting drunk, doing drugs, going out and party, like just going hard at life, going to festivals and stuff. So they're not quite like learning this sort of stuff yet. But yeah, that's very, very interesting that that's how you got into social media marketing, was actually through a friend of yours, and it was a mutual acquaintance. And do you know like what his process was, or like where he learned his stuff from, or did he become a mentor to you?
Oh no. Like he's not a mentor at all. It was one of those things where he was doing it, and then I did it completely separate to him. Like it wasn't like he helped me along my journey or anything. It was the way I kind of did it was very kind of independent. I didn't even tell anyone at first that I was gonna go really serious at SMMA until like really like early December time, I'd say. That was when I dropped out of university as well. So yeah, like it wasn't really anything where it's like a mentor-mentee relationship. It was literally just like, hey, he has that business. I'm doing the same business model. yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just what's up? I'm over in this side, in this corner. You're over in that corner. But
Yeah, legit.
yeah, so that's really interesting. So what have you done so far in since you started learning about social media marketing? Take me through the journey of just starting out your agency. What was some of the trials and tribulations that you had to go through in order to grow up your agency, and where are you at right now with your agency?
Okay, so damn, where do I even begin? Okay, so I bought a course which was Agency Incubator, the new one by Iman, and I kind of just went through that, and then I started to like look into doing building out like the whole agency in terms of the back end. So obviously you'll need like domain names and blah blah. But one thing that I kind of failed to do was I failed to do the important tasks at first, which is to build, rather than like focusing on building like a website or anything, you need to focus on building out like a systematic outreach process, because at the end of the day, like, you know, without a proper outreach method, you're just never going to get a client. So to be honest, I focused on the wrong things for a long time, and also lifestyle wise, I wasn't at a place where, you know, I could work on my agency full time. And also I think social media, can I swear by the way on this?
I don't give a shit.
Like I think social media and like just consumption of Snapchat, for example, and stuff like that has fucked our attention spans so badly. Like back when I started properly, well, back when I was still learning about SMMA, I would literally sit down, read a book, try to read a book, flick to the first page, and then like my eyelids would just start like either shutting, or my mind would just be everywhere else but like, you know, the present. So, you know, just mental capacity wise, I was not good enough to be an agency or a business owner. So that was when I kind of took measures to slowly change that. I went out less, literally just started like isolating myself, if that makes sense. And then it got to the point where I was just like, okay, wow, this isn't really going in the right direction. So over Christmas, I went home back to my family and I literally just took a break for 3 weeks. Didn't work, didn't think about agency work, just did some light reading here and there, but it was mainly to just recharge, because like 2019, that year, I worked disgustingly hard. Um, like from June to like December. It was just insane work, massive stress load, and then that 3 weeks really helped me to reset and like mentally overcome a lot of some of the hurdles that I was facing. So when I came back to Nottingham on the 9th of January, that was the day where I set up all my HubSpot stuff, and then on from the 10th onwards, I was working like 3 to 7 hours a day. Like, but when I say 3 to 7 hours a day, I mean like intense, focused work, not like, oh, you know, occasionally just picking up my phone, replying to a DM or something. It's literally like I sit at my desk and I just don't move for like 4 hours. That was where I kind of saw my results. And Evan, to answer your question about like where my agency is at now, so about a week ago, I just signed my first client. They're a supplementation company based out in the US. So the way I would recommend anyone that's kind of new to the space to deliver their results is literally just get a media buyer, because Facebook ads is more complex than you would like be able to comprehend when you first start SMMA. So it's just like, it's best to just get a media buyer who has amazing results that you have faith in, so that you're able to sell the services. But also you need to be constantly educating yourself on actual service delivery, because client acquisition, to be honest, there's only so much to know, and most of it is learned through trial and error anyways. So yeah.
Great answer. There's about like four things in there that I want to go over, because that was just like straight value bombs right there. That was very helpful information. First one was just going over, first thing I want to talk about, just so that keep it in my mind, also in your mind. First one where I really would love to touch on is just social media addiction. Second one is taking a break and like letting things ease off. Third one is deep focused work. And then lastly, it'll be about closing out that first client, how you did outreach for that client. So talk a bit about social media addiction, which is a huge problem, especially with attention spans. I think I read somewhere where we have less attention span now than a goldfish does. So a goldfish, I think, is 7 seconds, and we have 6 seconds now. Mostly
Really?
due to mostly due to like looping and like stories and Snapchats, and like all those are like 9 seconds, and then our brain just shuts off like 2 to 3 seconds in. Especially now with like story ads. I've really gotten into story ads, and that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why I got into social media marketing, was because I always kind of questioned Big Brother and what's going on and how these algorithms play a role in society, and how they actually have a biological effect on all of us. So like story ads, for example, like people might only watch a second or two, but they'll skip it like after a second or two. So then their like minds are always like, oh, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. So now our attention spans, I think the 6 second thing was maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, and might even be shorter from now in such a short amount of time. So I want to just ask you about social media addiction for a little bit. When did you kind of like know, like when did you kind of see yourself reflect on like, hey, this is kind of like screwing with my brain, and how can I stop this from distracting me?
Well, to be honest, so when I was a kid, I'm only 20 now, by the way, so it wasn't too long ago. I was able to, just lie in bed and read a book for like 2 hours. Now, right now in my current state, I can read 1 hour focused, like, well, I'll have to go to the toilet midway through, but like, I can read for an hour now. But when I first started training my mind, it was like, I sit down and I'm like, it felt like, I don't know, the chair was lava or something, or like, it was just so uncomfortable. And then that was when I realized like shit, like my attention span is legit fucked. But I wasn't really addicted to social media like a lot of people, where I was always on Instagram or anything. I was more addicted on the YouTube side of things, and that's, in my opinion, almost just as toxic, just because like, I do all of my work on my laptop now, so it's just like, when you have the muscle memory ingrained in you, doing like Control Tab, press Y, enter, and then you look at the subscription feed or whatever. That was like such muscle memory to me that it was literally second nature. Where if I don't catch myself, like in a split second, if my attention diverts from work, I could just go on YouTube and start watching videos for fun. So I was like, okay, this has to change. And then I got like Facebook, feed eradicator and stuff like that, to basically just like block YouTube recommendations, block Facebook feeds. I've never really been one to be extremely addicted to my phone. Like, I check it, but like before I started using my phone less than an hour and a half a day, I was only using it for like 2.5 hours ish. That's about the time that I used it for, but that's because most of the stuff I do is on my laptop, not on my phone. So I know friends that literally their screen time is like 8 hours a day, and it's like, the hell do you do with your life when you're 8 hours on the phone? And also then I'm just like, why is my response time from your text at like 50 minutes per response? It's like, yeah. So yeah. To kill myself a bit, I guess, I literally, it was more about just weaning yourself off, and I think also meditation really, really helped as well.
Those are all great recommendations. Especially, I was gonna recommend Facebook feed eradicator. I think like YouTube, it's called YouTube block recommendations. Those are 2 Chrome extension apps. I think those are 2 Chrome extension apps that you can use. I have them as well.
Yeah, I use hide recommendations.
Yeah, hide recommendations. That's another one as well. Those are 100%. I recommend those because YouTube is actually, like, other than Netflix, are the 2 most like watched websites, and those are where all the eyeballs are, because you can get lost on YouTube. These social media companies, they pay addiction specialists millions of dollars a year to make sure that they keep your eyes glued to their platform. They have millions of dollars. So we, as an individual, are going against a multi-million, if not nearly $1 billion machine of addiction, of addiction specialists, like trying to ensure that you stay on the platform. It's almost a losing battle. So just having these
Yeah.
applications or even like notifications turned on, just having those on, they literally like they'll just draw your brain to them so that we can't like focus or like stay a second to ourselves and or keep a second to ourselves. And that's where you mentioned meditation as well, which is an absolute huge benefit for anyone, because just sitting in silence is fucking hard. For a lot of people, it's hard because your mind wanders, especially today. Your mind's definitely going to wander if you haven't done any meditation before. And it's really hard. Like some people, like they literally can't be in a room that in dead like silence, or people just can't find a room if they're in an urban area. They can't find a place where it's actually quiet. They can't do it. So it's just so much noise, so much distractions. And so people just literally can't sit to themselves anymore and just sit and not even think. Like you're trying not to think. And that's almost too hard for people to do because they always like I remember like I counted one day, like I would like make like one of those like marker things where like it would point and it would record how many times or something like that when I clicked it throughout the day. I think I checked my phone at one point, it was like 90 times a day or something like that, where that's not even a lot. Like
That's not. I check my phone like I check my phone over. Let me see how many I've checked today actually.
Yeah, like, and I thought I freaked out when I saw 90. I'm like 90 times I like looked down and bent down to pick up my phone.
Oh wait, no, today only 61. Only
Yeah,
61.
yeah, which is good. But you're disciplined though. You're very
Yeah.
disciplined, and like you are monitoring this. There's people that just have no self control and they'll just go on and have a look at it. So yeah, I completely resonate with your story there, and 100% recommend meditation for anyone.
I think with changing up your mindset towards like social media, it's literally like the same as when you exercise and weightlift. I think you need to progressively overload yourself into it. So for example, meditation, you shouldn't go ahead and just meditate for 20 minutes straight away. You should start 5, another day of 5, maybe like even 5 days straight of just 5 minutes, and then progressively up it to like 10, 15, 20, and then like make it a daily thing. But in terms of apps, there's this app on Android. I don't know if it's on iOS, but it's called Usage Time. Highly recommend it. Once you start looking at how many hours you're on your phone, you can consciously like lower it progressively.
That's great recommendation. And then I want to take a little bit of time to mention the break that you had, because I think that a lot of people, they suffer from burnout, and because people just go so gung ho with the brand new like shiny object syndrome, like social media marketing. They go so gung ho with it the first maybe few days, and then they just quit after only doing maybe two or 3 days of full-time work into it, when they're trying to like dash to the 100-meter line, but it's actually like a full-on marathon. So people get exhausted. So how important was that break for you to just resettle and get back into the right mindset?
I think that break is ultimately what probably has the biggest benefit in terms of mindset, just because like 2019 I worked myself into a very bad place, because you know when you literally like work so hard that you start kind of like losing personality. I don't even know if that makes sense, but like
no, that definitely makes sense. You become a robot essentially.
yeah, like and then when I realized that, I was like, oh shit, like mentally right now I'm fucked. How can I expect myself to start a successful business if, I'm not even there completely? So the break for me, it was literally for me to just like not think about anything and sit at home, eat food, work out sometimes, read a little bit, but mainly just literally just laid back, watching Netflix, doing all of this and meeting friends as well. I hadn't seen like, I'd say about 80% of my friends for like probably like close to 6 months at that point, just because I was so busy. So those 3 weeks, it was literally it was just mindless pleasure essentially. But I think that's definitely needed at times. Like now I take Sundays pretty much completely off, unless, you know, I have to schedule a few videos or whatever. But it's not like a regular work day at all. If I wake up late, fuck it, I wake up late. If I want a meal, screw it, I'm not fasting that day, you know? So it's like you need to really strike a balance. Otherwise, you're going to start hating yourself because your brain isn't getting rewarded for the hard work that it's put in. So it doesn't build a positive feedback loop where, you know, like I reward myself on Sundays, meaning that, you know, the 6 days of work that I just did, my brain registers that and then says to my subconscious, sorry, like, oh, okay, well done, Bouyan. There. Like, now here's the reward today. Cool. You got the reward? Okay, now fuck off and go do another 6 days of work, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, I love those answers, especially the relationship side and not seeing your friends, because that's something that I did right at the beginning when I was doing freelancing work, as well as getting my agency kind of started in 2018. I literally was just in isolation, and I was in isolation for a very long time, and there was a lot of people I just didn't talk to, and I was like, why was I getting so burnt out so quickly? Like, what was going on? It's a yin and yang thing. You need to have that balance there so that you have, say, now I work Monday, Fridays. I work Monday, Fridays, and I try to keep it as office times as possible. But and a lot of the time, like, I won't talk to like a lot of my really, really good buddy friends. That's why I hate it when a lot of gurus and hype people, they mention like, oh, you got to get rid of your friends and like, oh, get connections with like people that are in higher up stuff. I fucking, that was literally like, that's such a terrible advice. You honestly, like, even though your friends, they're not into business, they're not into the same things that you are, like, you still need downtime to go get fucking lit and go party, man. Like I chat with my friends, like, and I hang out with them Fridays, Saturdays, like maybe sometimes during the week if they have a certain day off and stuff. But it's literally just to unwind because I'm working a lot of the time throughout the day and I'm doing a lot of high stress stuff. I run Facebook ads for clients, lead generation service, and a lot of that I'm dealing with a lot of money. So it's very, very stressful. So just having that balance of going out and just having friends that just don't really care about like the business or whatever, it's very, very refreshing to have. So I'd love that comment where you said, hey, I just went out and hung out with friends that I haven't seen in 6 months. Because I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah. But to second that point though, you know, when you say you hate like gurus or whatever, when they tell you, you know, cut people off in your life, to be honest, I think that actually to some extent has a lot of merit, because I've had people reach out to me like who are subscribers saying like, you know, their family isn't supportive of their dreams and blah blah, very, very critical, like Asian parents and stuff like that. And then it's like when your friends are really negative, I think definitely, yeah, like there's certain people that you should cut out, but you shouldn't cut people out just because, you know, they're not doing the same shit as you. You need to cut the people out if they're like actively draining your energy and preventing you from stopping.
If they're baggage towards you, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. But that's part of the self-reflection and just kind of thinking when you really start the business and you just kind of, you decide like, hey, I'm just going to cut out a lot of people, and then you be very selective after. Because you're only looking for more energy and people that boost you up, because that's the whole point of going out with these people. You're not going out to get your energy drained, because that's what a lot of the time some of the work is. Like sometimes, like, I love the work that I do as well, and I'm sure you do as well, but sometimes like there's just days where it just takes more energy out of you than some days that like it builds you up. So it's great to just go out with people that just give you different energy in another way.
100% agree.
I love that. So let's talk a bit about the start of your agency then. So you said that you really hit the ball rolling in January 10th is when you really started to focus down on your agency. What were some of the things that you started doing for outreach and growing yourself to become an authority figure inside of your niche, or whatever you'd like to call it? And by the way, if you want to mention your niche as well and how you got into that too, that would be awesome.
So to be honest, the way I see niching down for beginners is like there's two routes you can go down: local lead gen or e-commerce. Because realistically, unless you're already a professional within a very specific niche, like you're not gonna really know what to do or what you're passionate about. And I think, well, 86% of my viewers are between the ages of 18 to 24, meaning, you know, like they're very young into their career. If some hasn't even started their career, in fact. So you're not gonna know shit in terms of like what you want to do. So the way I picked my niche is e-commerce, by the way. I don't specialize in anything too specific. It's just e-commerce at the moment. But I do plan to niche down on a niche that one, I'm interested in, two, I like getting results for. I think that's like the biggest keys. So in terms of what I did with my agency, I knew that, listen, like all I needed to do was outreach because I already had a team by then. Finding a good media buyer is not that challenging if you have the right network. So my current media buyer, I actually have two at the moment, but one is completely sourced by myself. The other one came in as a referral. Me and my friend co-signed him onto our agencies to ensure that we're able to bring him work like constantly, to keep him busy because he was, in my opinion, like very, very good. So we wanted to be able to keep him essentially. So it's like, once you have a team, okay, cool. Your only job right now, fuck the website, literally fuck everything else, just do outreach. And when I say outreach, I don't mean like, cold calling and being like, hey, how's it going? I run Facebook ads. Let me speak to the owner. I mean like building out your own systems and processes, because realistically outreach is different for every single niche. So for e-commerce, the best form of outreach is either LinkedIn drip campaigns or email sequencing, because you're not going to be able to cold call an e-commerce business because a lot of the time their head office number isn't going to be publicly available. And if you dial up like their customer service, you might get Rajesh from India, let's say, pick up the phone and you're asking to speak to the owner. He's like, I don't know what's going on, like, so cold calling definitely just doesn't work for e-commerce. So yeah, like I did email sequencing. The software I used was HubSpot, and I actually made 3 videos in a row like detailing how I did that completely. So I'm sure Evan's going to link my channel down below or something, so you guys can go check them out.
Yeah, that's absolutely great advice right at the beginning.
Yep.
Especially when because you thought about your business in a very empathetic way. A very much, you have now a team in place and you want to keep your ad specialist or your media buyer around, because you're like, oh, I don't want anyone snatching this guy up from me. Him, her, I have no idea. But yeah, you don't want anyone else snatching them up from you. So now you have to see it from their angle and be like, I want to keep this person happy. How do I keep this person happy to stay around? And I can keep them happy to stay around if they have clients to work with. Well, how do they get clients? Well, I have to do outreach for them. So now you're pretty much serving your employees at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Your main goal is to ensure that they have work to do. So that's the kick in the ass that you need to have in order to propel your business, is to be more empathetic, which is what, like, are you sure you're 20? Bouyan?
No, I'm
no
20.
idea. Yeah, you're 20. Are you sure? You're very,
100%.
very, very mature for your age. And yeah, that's one of the things that you have to see it from their perspective as well, which not a whole lot of people, when they start going into business and they're going out and trying to find an ad specialist or a media buyer, that's not something that they think about. So then they lose people so easily because they don't have that proper communication.
One of the biggest things is like, I think the traditional view about like business owners and like CEOs and stuff, it's very, very skewed. It's like the average person legit believes their boss works less harder than them and gets paid 10 times more. Okay, genius, go do that yourself then. Like, if the trade-off is as simple as, boss does 1/10 of the work, I do the rest of the 90%, and he gets paid 90% and I get paid 10%, then go do his fucking work then, So it's just like, one of the things is like, you don't realize it, but your boss is actually the one working for you, not the other way around. Because, I can deliver results on, e-commerce, but it will just take me longer and it probably wouldn't be as good. So if I can outsource it to a team member, like, that'll be great. That's literally how, building a business works and why you should have a team. but also to second your point on empathy, I think that's one of the downfalls of this industry as a whole at the moment, because you get a load of like people with shiny object syndromes, you know, that just learn how to get clients, but then couldn't give a fuck less about, you know, getting results for clients, which is why, to be honest, I don't recommend anyone go into the like restaurant, dentist, or chiropractor niche or gym niche anymore, just because like when Ty Lopez did his video, you know, people were picking up the phone left, right, and center calling these places, but they have no idea how to get results. And a lot of these restaurants and stuff has actually been stung because they were sold onto a service that they're not even qualified enough to host. Because one of the other things you have to realize is like, you know, yes, okay, cool, you can bring the service, you have a media buyer, but what if their store is just not ready? Like their website looks like shit and it won't convert, you know? Or if they have like a team of 2 running the whole business at the moment and you're trying to bring them 100 orders, operationally it's not going to work, you know? So yeah, I think people just aren't empathetic enough towards the business owners themselves and are looking at it very short term in terms of like, okay, let me just sign a client, get the contract signed, invoice paid, and now fuck, like what? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that I completely agree with you. There's nothing better than being able to have empathy towards people that you work with, especially employees, or if you're still working a full-time job or a part-time job, your employer as well, and even the people that you are doing outreach for, because it's very, very cold at the end of the day out there, because they're probably like the 99% of people are just like going out there only thinking short term, like you mentioned, Boy, and only thinking short term and short term results instead of thinking for the long term and building out a relationship, which is incredibly important at the end of the day. So yeah, let's talk about your first client then, and how you were able to sign your first client. Where did you get in contact with that client, and how did you do outreach in order to sign them on?
So let me actually check for you. So basically, the way I do email sequencing is, another tip that I failed to mention is like, with email sequencing, you won't be able to find the winning sequence straight away, just because any template out there at the moment on YouTube uses the same repetitive phrases like, oh, you're leaving money on the table, blah, blah, you know, like, basically it's almost at this point insulting to the business owner when they see those phrases. Just because they've been outreached so many times by those people. So you really need to get creative with it and start testing and creating your own sequences. So I'm on my 3rd sequence now, actually. So what I do is I enroll 100 contacts into each sequence and then get the numbers for that. So I had to get my first client, I enrolled 200 contacts into sequence totally. And in terms of, you know, my stats for that, on my first version 1, this was when my conversion rate for the sequences were pretty poor. And let me just check which sequence I got the client in. But yeah, I got my client through email sequencing. What email sequencing is essentially, it's just like it enrolls an email address into a sequence of emails. I don't know how else to explain it. Basically, it sends out the emails automatically, but then each email is in fact customized to that specific person. You can just send templates, but I really don't recommend that because it just is very like impersonal, and any client, yeah, it's just not a good way to go about it, in my opinion.
So do you write each one of those and then it just sends out automatically, or is it already like in a template form where all you have to do is just write out a few things or put in another like Loom video or something like that inside of the email sequence?
It's like largely a template, but what I do is there are certain fields that I will target, and those fields are completely customized. It's basically like a new paragraph in every single email, just because like I want to bring value to the prospect, but the thing is, just through an email is very, very difficult to bring actual like solid value, which is why the value I try to bring is either I try to make them laugh, or I try to point something out with their current website, like, oh, change the color schemes a little bit. Easy fixes that would get them like results, or change up the performance slightly. Or for example, when I see them running an ad for like a Black Friday sale, but it's January, I'll tell them that and be like, hey, you might want to take this ad down. That it's just me being nosy, but like, like here's that's actual value, as opposed to, like I don't even know what people use to bring value anymore, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really like that, where you would find something out in the business that you think that you can bring value to as soon as possible. So as soon as you reach out to them and say, "Hey, you're still running this ad celebrating Christmas or a Christmas sale, but it's in July."
yeah,
You might want to take that down, because it
yeah,
looks like you're spending it on Google or you're spending it on Facebook, and you're just wasting a bunch of money right now, because it's
legit, yeah.
yeah, people aren't buying it or anything.
Okay, so back to the sequence. I just pulled it up. So the first sequence, the open rate was 68%, reply rate 7%, click-through rate 3%, meeting rate was 1%, I believe. And then in the second version of the sequence, open rate 76%, reply rate 14, click-through rates 9, and meeting rate 3. So in my opinion, I hit a triple double with that. So I tripled my click-through rate and doubled my reply rate. So
Awesome.
how I did that was
What did you end up tweaking between that first one to the second one?
so I removed one word, which jumped the open rate from 68% to 76% on the subject line. So yeah, one word could literally make all the difference. And then to get the reply rates up, so the first email sequence, there was less customization, and I didn't do the thing where I was trying to bring them actual value. It was more of the superficial kind of like bullshit value that, I don't know, 90% of marketers out there try to do. How I tripled the click-through rate was by inserting multiple meeting links throughout the email. So every email I would have 2 or 3 meeting links, just to increase the chances of them actually clicking. And also reply rate doubled because the emails were just more personal, simple. And meeting rate tripled as well, because like the other parts were done better. So yeah.
That's great advice, because literally, like, people try to think too much outside of the box when it comes to outreach, when all you really have to do is just have a good, especially when you're doing email outreach, you need a really good subject line. And it doesn't have to be informative whatsoever. It's just like, hey, quick question, or you see something like wrong or something like that, like something just to grab their attention. So just so that they click through the email.
Yeah.
And then you need that hook right at the beginning, or you help them out and bring value the first thing on that email, so then they continue to actually read it, because they want to learn a bit more about like who this person is, how they found this information out, and like why are they even helping me, which a lot of people get weirded out sometimes when like, why does a complete stranger want, like, what is this person like, what's he trying to do, or something like that. And that's just great advice, because one word can literally just put your open rate from like 68, do you say 68% to 76%? Yeah. So something like that. All you have to do is just keep split testing. And that's something that I tell my clients, is to continue to split test their advertisement campaigns. So split test different types of content. Maybe you won't think that this photo will work on as an ad, but you never know. You never know unless you actually try and you split test. Maybe this like short copy of like 2 sentences that's not converting, but maybe a long form for this type of retargeting campaign, top of mind branding campaign can work a lot better. So yeah, it's just about split testing at the end of the day, and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and then you just see, and you're probably still testing right now to go from 76 all the way up to 80, all the way up to 85, 90%. So I'm sure you're still doing that, Bouyan, which is absolutely awesome. We've taken up a lot of time right now, and I appreciate your time, Bouyan, for taking the time, taking this last hour to chat, draw some value. Absolutely love it. Still got a couple more questions left. So how,
Sure. Fire
um,
away.
yeah, how is the process right now with your client? What did you end up closing them on? And what kind of services are you offering? Is it solely just Facebook ads, or do you have maybe email sequences in there as well?
So the way we do it, the way the deal was cut, it was on a 3-month minimum. But I did add a clause for them where it's like if anything were to go wrong, like drastically wrong, they can give a 14-day notice. We're only managing and running their Facebook and Instagram ads. There's no back-end emails, nothing like that. That is a service that we do want to offer in the future, but it's just like I feel like we should, double down on a service that I know for a fact that my team is like tremendously good at, and then kind of scale the agency one service at a time, as opposed to start like having 7 in-house team members all doing different services. Like that's not the kind of business I want to run, and that's not the type of route I want to go down. In terms of how much I closed them on, I don't really want to say publicly, but Evan, if you're curious, you can go on the Grow Agency Facebook group, or like after this, I'll just tell you, I don't mind.
Oh,
But
don't
yeah,
worry. We don't have to get into numbers or any figures or anything along
okay,
that lines.
cool.
Yeah, it was just mostly about the process of being able
Ah,
to close them like through email sequences, getting them on the call,
yeah.
closing them out, and all that sort of fun stuff.
Oh, okay. So in terms of like sales process on the call, um, I didn't use any scripts. I don't use any scripts, just because I feel like if I've been on sales calls for like different coaches and stuff, and you can straight away just tell when someone's using a script, because any beginners, when they use a script, they tend to ask questions that they're not even comfortable asking or finding out the answers to themselves. Does that make sense? And through a script, because I did door-to-door sales for like 3 months, I know how to reroute the conversation back to following the script again, and like kind of doing like a straight line system kind of thing, where it's like, okay, cool, the client tries to divert you off of the straight line, okay, now you have to loop them back to the straight line kind of thing. I know how to do all of that, so I was kind of able to skip the building on confidence or whatever kind of phase, and just like go in with the actual intention of following a structure as opposed to a set script to read out. To be honest, funny thing is, actually, I've only had 3 discovery meetings, and one of the that was so my closing rate is actually 33% at the moment. Could be 66 soon, we'll see.
Love it,
But
man.
yeah, so I also don't do one call closes on like biggish clients, just because with bigger clients, I think one of the things that they failed to teach you in the courses, like in agency incubator, and even like to an extent Jordan Platton's course, is the fact that the like traditionally the only gatekeeper is like the receptionist. But in a larger corporation, you're going to have to go through senior marketing managers to go to the head of marketing, and then from the head of marketing you need to try to close a meeting with the CEO. So like this is a long process where a lot can actually go wrong. So if you were to announce your price or quote them, or basically just do anything that's like makes you seem like you want the sale really, really badly, they're gonna get a whiff of that. And what do you think is gonna happen? They're gonna be like, oh, this guy's just wants our money, like, fuck off. So I did a 2 meeting close with that client where, on the first meeting, I didn't even mention whether I wanted to run ads for them until the very end. I was literally like, like, oh, what's the conversion rate of your website? And I always start off by asking like, oh, so what made you even get into entrepreneurship? Because what I find is I love learning about like different business owners' individual stories, and then I really just ask about like, what drives you as an entrepreneur, for one, because when you're relating to someone as a business owner, like, there's a lot of rapport to be built on that. so yeah, like just make it super personal. I even ask about their family sometimes. I don't do the thing where it's like, oh, so how much do you want to make in 6 months times or whatever? Because that seems quite silly to me, and I don't know how to integrate that properly and make it seem natural. So what I tend to do is like, like I talk about time freedom a lot. Like, so my current client used to run his own ads, and he doesn't really want to do his ads anymore. So I was like, like this will give you so much more time to hang out with your family.
That's the emotional connection. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that not a lot of people kind of see. Is going past the analytics is what do we all kind of want out of life? And that's one of the things like that you're just curious about, and you just kind of learn that through prospecting, just kind of asking questions. I always find out like what people are into, especially in my industry in real estate. A lot of people love Ryan Serhant. A lot of people love what's her face? And there's a female in California who's really, really awesome, but her name just slips my mind right now. But people really love a couple people inside of those industries so that you can really connect with people and kind of drop their barriers down just to talk to people that they're very passionate about and people that they're really into. So yeah, that's great advice for anyone that's going out there prospecting, is to actually legitimately get to know who you're working with, because sometimes you find out that, hey, maybe I don't want to work with this person, because that's also equally as important as people that you find out that are working, is finding out the people that you just don't want to work with. So yeah, just to kind of wrap this up, Bouyan, I ask this of everyone who I chat with, because I'm always curious to kind of know, if you could be any type of animal, be it domestic or wild, what kind of animal would you be and why?
I'll be a different animal but the same beast. Have you seen that video?
No, I haven't. What is it?
Oh, you know the video with Kanye West and Kobe Bryant, when Kanye is like, "How much more successful can I be?" And then Kobe goes, "More successful." Anyways, I'll link that video. Sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot that reference. But animals wise, that is, to be honest, I've never really thought about it. I've always liked the idea of being human, but if I had to pick an animal, like I'd probably go very just generic and say dog.
I actually really like the human answer right there, because we are animals as well.
Yeah.
You would be the first one that I chatted to that said a human as well, which is kind of interesting, because that means that you actually have a lot of faith in humanity as well. You see kind of the benefits and the good side of humans, and that's the first thing that you kind of think about. So that means your interpersonal skills are really, really high.
Okay.
Yeah, so like that's a great answer. Yeah, I really, really like that answer, Bouyan. Lastly, like, where can people find you? Where can people reach out to you if they want to end up working with you? And what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So I respond to every single YouTube comment. So if you want to hit me up, my channel will be linked down below. My Instagram is real Bouyan Zhao. Now I don't really post pictures or anything on my Instagram, but I respond to all DMs, and I do most of my subscriber interaction on there. So find me on Instagram. Also, I write LinkedIn articles from time to time, and I give a ton of value away for free on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is just Bouyan Zhao. Literally, to be honest, I'm on Byte and TikTok as well, but I'm not really going ham at those places at the moment. So it's just mainly Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn that you can.
I just found out about Byte like last week, and I downloaded it.
Byte is crazy. You know, I uploaded one video and it got 11 likes within like the first 30 minutes.
That's so nuts. I look at it, I'm like, this is just whatchamacallit,
Vine.
Yeah, it's like
Vine.
that. Yeah, it's like Vine, and it's exactly like Vine. So it's just a direct competitor with TikTok or whatnot. So, but I only found out about it last week. That's how I'm showing my age now at 26. I'm not in the under 20s hip with any of that. Like I
have a quick question for you though.
Oh, what's up?
Obviously, because you're more ahead than me in your agency journey, like any tips for a beginner, I guess?
Yeah,
and how long did it take you to get your first client? That's one of the biggest questions.
So for freelancing, it's very interesting. I have a video on my channel where I actually closed four freelance clients in my first 2 days, which was fucking crazy, because I mainly just went through my referrals of like friends, friends of friends, and mutual friends and stuff. And
But
that's
how
where
much? What was the kind of retainer on those though?
so what I was able to do was do, because I was a mess at that time as well. I did stuff for like video content, where I was paid like $500 video content, and I was doing like management as well, which was like 250. I was also doing like, I was just a mess at that point because I had no idea of any structures or anything like that. That was the beginning of 2018. So I was just a complete mess. So the biggest thing to kind of learn is to actually like get your hands dirty at the end of the day, and like actually go out there and talk to people, talk to businesses, see what their problems are. And the biggest thing to learn is to find a niche. You find a niche and you dive into it. You interview 25 to 30 people, business owners inside of those.
That's one of the things.
Yeah. You interview people because if you're passionate about a certain niche or you want to learn more, you just go out and like interview people. Like if you're still young and you're under 23, 24, and you still like
people are very willing to help.
Yeah, and if you're still a student, you can just be like, hey, I'm a student at this place, and I was just wondering if I can have a quick interview with you. You don't even have to say that's for a school project. Just mention that you're a student, and people will just like, people will literally set schedules with you for a student. Like I remember going out and interviewing people when I was a student at BCIT, and it was so easy for me to get interviews with people. And now that I have my own YouTube channel and I have my own digital agency, people are like, maybe not. But when you're a student, you can actually like be able to go out there and get meetings with people, because everyone wants to help out a student at the end of the day. So that's some of my advice for people that really want to get started and really nailing down clients, is to be very focused on one niche and offer one service for that niche. Find those media buyers like you mentioned, Bouyan. Find people there that you can surround yourself with that are better than you, so that you can learn from them. Make sure you have a basic knowledge of that service that you're providing as well. So if you're providing Facebook ads, maybe you should get a Facebook ads course so that you know the contractor that you end up hiring, thinking that he knows a lot of stuff.
Do you recommend any Facebook?
We'll talk about that later. But yeah, for Facebook courses, Sam Ovens is really good. Really like Sam's. Emans is also very good for agency incubator.
For specifically running ads.
And Kat Howell's course is also very, very good too. So so those are the people to learn advertising from as well. But yeah, those are the kind of the main things. If you are stuck with your agency and you're stuck right at that beginning stage, you need to be able to figure out a niche, talk to 25 to 30 business owners in that niche, and then learn the fucking service that you're providing, just so you have a base knowledge, so that you know when you hire a media buyer or a contractor or a Facebook ad specialist, you know when they're fucking up. That's the number one thing. You want to make sure you surround yourself with people that are better than you. So Bouyan, went way over time. I want to thank you so much for sitting down and chatting. This was absolutely awesome. We'll chat very soon.
Sure.